Hi crafters and welcome. So for the technique this week, I'm going to show you a little bit about different fast backgrounds you can do for your cards. Now I'm going to be doing them as a full-size panel, but you could also cut these down. I just think it's easier to do them as a panel to start with and then trim down as you need be. So I'm going to make 4 panels. There are 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is the normal size of your front of your cardstock or your card. All right. So the first one we're going to do is basic one. You use your stamps to make a background. Now I'm going to show you these like splatter or this fun little swishy line here, but you also could use a flower to be a background all over your piece. So, but we're going to use from Swirl Designs. We're just going to do a simple background. So I'm going to get out the splatter. That's this one right here. All right, I'm going to be using my old blocks. I got a bunch of new blocks and they're so pretty, but I have them over on my work desk so I can use them on my own. All right, so I have this splatter stamp and I'm going to grab out, and I'm just going to use cubes today because it's just so much easier. Let's grab out 3 colors that are somewhat in sync with one another. Let's get Fresh Freesia, let's get Petunia Pop, and let's get Berry Burst. Okay, so let's just go ahead, and I like to start with the lightest first, and I kind of will go all over the cardstock with the lightest. Now this will take a while because I'm not using the big pad, but every once in a while I'm just kind of turning it so they don't all go in the same direction. Some are getting lighter than others. This is all what we call first generation because it's the first time it's being stamped. I will do a video later where you use what we call second and third generation. All right, so I get the good colored background with the lightest color. Then I'm going to go in with the darker color, and I'm just going to do a few. Oh, I thought this one was open. Let me see if I have another Petunia Pop that's open already. Let's see. Berry Burst. Nope, we're going to have to open this one. Melon Man, Mambo. Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll just open this one up. All right. And I just like to rip, I guess it's not going to rip off very good. Let me cut it off real quick with my old stamp cutting scissors. All right. So now I'm going to go in with this darker color. I'm only going to do a couple. I'm going to do like one here. I'm going to be using like the triangle look on this. All right, just a couple with that medium color. Now we have the dark color. This is Berry Burst. This is going to be the darkest of the color. On this one, I usually like stamping off the edge because it is so dark. If you stamp it in the middle, to me, your eye gets drawn towards that and it won't travel around. So by doing it on the edge like this, I feel like your eye travels around a lot more. So there we have our background stamp using a splatter or background stamp itself. Let's get some of this off here. Let me get my little alcohol spritzer out here. cleaned off. All right, next one we're going to do is we're going to do blends. So I used to do this with the markers, but I felt like the markers they didn't get, in my opinion, the splatters weren't as great. It seemed like they would get blobby, and I think it's because of the way the marker is versus the blends. The blends is a much tighter end, and I'm using a bunch of retired here. And what I'm doing is I'm just taking this and I'm just hitting it on a hard surface. And this one may be so dried out. Let me see something. Let me go on the back of it really quick and see. Oh no, there's color there. Oh, I can see the color. You can see it. It's very, very light. So I'm going to get a little more on there. The closer you get, the more concentrated it's going to be. The higher up you get, the more light it's going to be. All right, so let's go to our next color. This is pumpkin pie. This was the one I think I've replaced because I got this out of my, what I call my retired bin. It's not by my stamp pad, so this one must have gone to the point where I was using it to color. It was like splaying out. It wasn't. And I always use the marker side. Some people say that if you use the bullet side, you get better results, but I've never had good results from the bullet side. I feel like the marker side has a lot more juice to it. All right, I have very little orange on there. I'm going to do a little bit more. And remember, as you're coming down, it's splaying this way. All right, so coming over here is going to get your edges. If you go over this, it's going to come out this way. So it's not even going to hit your cardstock. All right, so now you can see we have some white, some of the yellow, and some of the pumpkin pie. Now this, the stronger the colors you get, the more I think you want to be up and away a little bit. Because look, this one is this Blackberry Bliss? Oh, I can't even read this. Rich Razzleberry. And you can see, with just a few hits, you can see how concentrated it is. And look, my yellow is coming through a little bit there. So if you really want to get a dark look, you're going to get closer. If you want a lighter look, you're going to be higher up. All right, here is Melon Mambo. And this I'm going to keep just kind of right in the middle here. And last, but certainly not least, Wisteria Wonder. That's a real old color. That's been retired for quite a while. All right. And there you see, you get a nice speckled background. It just kind of helps from keeping that cardstock being so white and so stark. All right, the last thing I'm going to show you, and I'm hoping this works out okay. This, oh, I just knocked down my little wastebasket. All right, getting any of the marker up, the blends up from that last technique. Pick up my wastebasket here. Next one we're going to try, I think works better with the spots. And it's going to be the wood grain technique. So let's start first. I'm going to start, and this one's not open. A lot of these aren't open. There we go. Put it over there. And you want just a very light, just barely touching it. This one you definitely want to cut down because you're always going to have a little bit of that darker look right on the edge where you first start. Because it's just natural because that pad is going to hit that edge like that. All right. Now I'm going to take gray granite. Same thing. This one is a little dry, so I am going to kind of go a little bit more, so you get a little more of those lines in there. Now if you wanted to use like a coastal cabana or something to kind of get that like greenish patina look, you can. Cajun Craze. This one I gotta be careful because that's one of those strong colors. So after going over this color, I am going to go back over with the pecan pie again. This time I'm going to put just a little more pressure on. All right. So there's what the wood grain looks like so far. But then I always like taking the darkest color and just right on the edge, just kind of do a couple of little lines to kind of represent that plank. And there you are. There you have a wood grain look, which would be great for a masculine card. If you don't like how that Cajun Craze came through, you'll just go back in with what I call your kind of neutral color, which in this case is the pecan pie. And then I'm going to come back in with the early espresso again and just get a couple more of those little plank marks. And there you are. There's a wood grain look. Now on this, because it is such a strong look, I usually do cut this one down, especially since you have those edges the way they are. So on this one, I would probably cut it down. I'll take a 1/4 inch off of each of the sides. So now you have a 3 3/4 by 5, which is going to look great on a card base. There it is on that early espresso. Here it is on white. I don't think I have a basic beige in here. Here's a very vanilla. Basic beige though would look really good against too. All right, so those are 3 easy backgrounds you can do very quickly. So let me grab them back out from over here. So we have the wood grain, we have the splatter from the blends, and then we have using a splatter stamp and using a trio of colors to give it some dimension and depth. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Give me that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tell your friends about my channel. Most of all, have a great Sunday. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.